Hello, welcome to Selbu Knits. This is my knitting podcast where I talk all about the things that I'm making that are bringing me joy. My name is Savannah and I live in Utah in the United States with my husband and our two little boys. And today we have a regular podcast episode with one finished object and 3 works in progress, one of which will be totally new to you, spur of the moment cast on. And then I also have a little bit of a media update at the end. And I have also started a new thing where I want to get to know you as the viewer. So the question of the day today is, what is your favorite accessory to wear in the winter? My favorite this year would be my fingerless mittens that I made, the penny gloves. I have been wearing them so much as I've been driving and on walks and things like that. I find them very useful and quick to pull on. I thought it would be a hat this year, but I haven't worn my hat very much. I also feel like maybe I will more when it's colder, but I haven't had a lot of chance to wear it just yet. So I would love to know what your favorite accessory is to wear in the winter. And thank you so much also for answering last week's question of where you are from. I had so many responses and I am just blown away at all of the different places you guys come from. It is literally all around the world, and I think that is so cool that we as knitters are all over the world, yet we can connect through this craft that we do. Usually solitary crafting, but through YouTube we can connect with each other on here, no matter where we are. So I think that that is really cool. So I think that that's it. So let's just get started. First, before we start with my one finished object, I want to talk about what I'm wearing. This is my Little Crystals pullover by Selbu Mittens, and I knit this about a year ago. It was a test knit, and it was my first time doing a drop shoulder, a top-down drop shoulder, and it was also my first time ever doing color work. And I don't say that to brag, I say that because the pattern is just that good. Selbu has so many tutorials in the pattern that if you are doing color work for the very first time, you'll have literally everything you need in that pattern. There are videos linked in there to figure out how to do color work itself, and also how to do color work flat, and how to create jogless rounds, things like that. Like everything you need to know will be in that pattern. So it looks more complicated, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a labor of love and took a lot of time, but it is so worth it, and the pattern is so incredible. I had 0 questions throughout the whole thing, just walks you through everything, and I absolutely love the finished sweater. So I'm excited to get even more wear out of it this year. And let's see, I used Cascade 220, and I don't know if I can remember the colors by now, but you are always welcome to go to my Ravelry page. I am Selbu Knits on Ravelry, and you can find all the details to my projects on my project page. Okay, let's get into my finished object, and I'm already grinning because I'm so happy about these. Mom, this is a gift for you, so stop watching now, skip ahead. I finished my Selbu Mittens, and I got the pattern from this book, Norwegian Knitting Designs 90 Years Later, and it is this pattern right here. And I finished them, you guys. Look how pretty. I'll show you the other side too, so you can kind of get both sides. Isn't that the most amazing thing? Ah, love it. Okay, so I used Cascade Heritage 6, which is a sport weight yarn, in Snow and Christmas Red. I used a 2-point 0.25 millimeter magic loop for this cuff part until I hit the color work right here, and then I switched to a 9-inch circular 2.75 millimeters for the hand, and then I did a magic loop for the decreases at the top, and then I also did a 2.75 millimeters magic loop for the thumb. And I will say, I've mentioned this before, the cuff is a little bit too tight. I was able to block it out quite a bit. I tried to block it out to be the same dimensions as up here. I really stretched it as far as I could. And you can tell that I stretched it with this line right here that's pulling apart, and you can see the stitches running on the inside, the legs of those stitches. But I don't think it's too big of a deal. It could almost look like a design element. Doesn't bother me too much, and I don't think it will bother my mom because I'm giving these to her for Christmas. I will try on one of these for you. Here we go. So pretty. Yeah, see, they're not too tight. I can stick my thumb in there, no problem, but I do wonder, she does have an Apple Watch, and so I don't know if like the Apple Watch will really fit in here, but we'll see. I think next time if I had to make these again, which maybe I will make more from the knitting book because the book does have a lot more Norwegian style colorwork mitten patterns, I think next time I just wouldn't go down a needle size for the cuff. I would just do the whole mitten in 2.75 millimeters. So that's just something to file away for the future. I did do a jogless round right here, so you can kind of tell that, but it's not too bad. And then the rest of the mitten is just this heart stitch right here, so you don't need to worry about jogless round because it all matches up anyways. So that is nice. And honestly, I was worried about laddering for using magic loop on the decreases and the thumb, but I think again, because of this detail right here, and the thumb also has some striping right here, I don't think that you can tell hardly at all, and I don't even think there is laddering. It looks really neat. So again, if I had to make these again, I think I would just use magic loop for the whole thing. I think you could get away with it, and I don't think you would have any issues with colorwork laddering, because I know with magic loop colorwork it can be a little tricky to get your tension right as you're making those turns with the magic loop. But honestly, it surprised me that this worked out so well, because I definitely had magic loop issues with this sweater. You can see right here, I've got a little bit of a space there, a little bit of a line where things didn't quite add up. I'm trying to see if there's anywhere else. This side is, I feel like, a little bit worse. It does pucker quite a bit around this area because of that. Or maybe I've just gotten better at it after a year, but I haven't had a lot of opportunity to do color work with magic loop, so I don't know. Either way, I'm happy that it turned out great in these. I ended up using a little over half a skein of the white of the snow color, so I think it was 0.56 grams, or 0.56 of a skein, so 56 grams. And then for the red, I used around 46 grams. So I could technically make another pair and just reverse it, so the red would be the main color and the white would be the contrast color. So I think I might do that and make a pair for myself, because these are so pretty, and I don't even like red. Red is one of my least favorite colors, but I think these look so stunning. The contrast is brilliant, so I'm a little bit tempted to make some for myself. The colors also blocked beautifully. I did precautionary added vinegar to cold water, and I used a color catcher, and I don't see any sort of bleeding at all. It's very crisp, in clear white. So that was a huge relief. Overall, I'm just very, very excited about these. I'm also excited to be done with gift knitting. My goal was to be done with gift knitting by December, and I finished these on November 24th. So I'm very happy that I made my goal with that. It took me 8 weeks to make these off and on. I think I didn't work on them for a couple of weeks. So having it be a lower priority knit, I feel like in real time it probably took me 6 to 7 weeks. But I wonder how fast I could get them done if they were a high priority knit, because the color work really just flies, and I want to keep knitting that next round and that next round and see the pattern come to life. So they are addictive in that way. But I am proud that I was able to finish these before December, and I will update you guys all on how my mom likes them when she opens them on Christmas. Let's get into whips now. I am making the Port Jacket by Ozetta. I am using Eastex Lopi in light gray, which this is a worsted or Aran. I feel like it's more worsted though. And it is a roving, I don't think it's technically unspun yarn. It feels stronger than that, but it is definitely a single ply roving, hairy, rustic yarn. And I am making a size extra large, which will give me 11 inches of positive ease after blocking. My gauge is a little tight while I'm knitting it, but blocking it does grow. So I did make sure my swatch was perfectly on after blocking, because I really want this jacket to fit well. I also am using a 4mm needle for this project, including for the ribbing. She says you should just use the same needle for both the stockinette and the ribbing. I think because it's a jacket, so you don't really need it to cinch in on the ribbing. Since we last talked, I was here on the body, and since then I have completed the 4 inches of ribbing for the body. I have completed a sleeve. It's a beautiful sleeve. And I am almost done with the decreases. I am all tangled. Almost done with the decreases on this sleeve. So this is coming together quite quickly now. I've got a whole jacket looking garment already. Last time we talked, I was a little bit concerned that I was reaching the measurement of the body and had to start the ribbing soon. I was concerned that it was going to be too short. However, I severely underestimated the power of 4 inches of ribbing, because it added quite a bit of length. And I did do a double knitting on the last 2 rows of the body, as the pattern suggests. And then I realized when I did this sleeve, I forgot to do the 2 rounds of double knitting on this sleeve, which I'm a little bit frustrated with myself for. But also, I feel like I have a valid reason. I was nearing the end of my current ball while working the 4 inches of ribbing, and it was getting close. And I really didn't want to have to join a new ball in the middle of doing a sewn bind off. That would have been frustrating, and I was already a little bit worried about the bind off, because with the body, doing so much of the body on a sewn bind off, my yarn was getting frayed because it is a single ply, so just pulling the yarn through stitches that many times was weakening it, and I was really afraid it was going to snap or pull apart. Luckily it didn't happen on the hem, but I was a little bit worried about that for the sleeve, if I would have to like spit splice a new strand onto my yarn ball. So I ended the 4 inches of ribbing on the sleeve, and I measured, and it was just enough to do a sewn bind off. And so without even thinking or consulting the pattern, I just went right into the sewn bind off. And it wasn't until last night when I was working on this sleeve and I was feeling these two hems, and I noticed that one was feeling thicker than the other, which would be the double knitting one. And I realized that I totally spaced it on doing it on this sleeve. Now, I am a perfectionist. I am an oldest child, stereotypical straight A student that if I'm going to do something, I need to do it as perfectly as I possibly can. And knitting has kind of helped me with that perspective a lot, of letting things go, deciding what is worth the effort and what is not, and also just recognizing that hand knit garments aren't always going to be perfect, and that's kind of the point, is that we're making them ourselves, and it's okay for them to have little imperfections. It's not a big deal. It's a hand knit garment. But also there's the fact of, you spend so much time on something and so much thought, and you have expectations for that, and you have to decide if it's worth it to redo things to meet that expectation that you have for it. I don't know, I'm always kind of battling, like, do I let go or do I continue working to get that expectation met for myself? And I don't think it's a bad thing to do it either way. I think you just have to decide what's worth it for that particular imperfection and for that particular garment. So I've been thinking a lot about that, and I still don't have an answer for this. I still don't know what I'm going to do. I really just want to leave it though. I refuse to unpick a sewn bind off. I will just cut it off. I've done it before and I would do it again for this. But I don't think I'm worried about yarn, but I also underestimated how much yarn I would need for a double knit button band on my book club cardigan, and I don't want to run into that same issue for this one, because this one also has a double knit button band, and I want to make sure I have enough yarn so I don't have to order more. However, I don't just want to finish the next sleeve and not do the double knitting and then have yarn left over after I've done the button band and the collar, and then have to redo both sleeves. But I also don't want to finish the other sleeve with the double knitting and then have to come back and redo this. So I think I may just leave it. Honestly, you can't tell. Who is going to tell? I don't even think a knitter would be able to tell which one has the double knitting or not. Like, can you guys even tell? I don't think I can tell. I can tell if I like squish it. I think the only thing that I would make me want to go back and do it is just for my own personal knowledge of knowing that it matches the hem. And I know that double knitting just gives some stability to the hem of a garment. So, and I do want stability with this jacket because I want it to be a jacket that I wear a lot over many years. But I can also always go back and add in the double knitting if I feel like the sleeves are kind of losing their shape over time. So that's the good thing about knit garments, I guess, is that you can always go back and rework things if you need to. It's not a totally done deal after you're done. So I think for now, I'm just gonna leave it. I think it will be fine. Honestly, I bet after wearing it for a month, I won't even really notice or remember that I didn't do the double knitting on the sleeve cuff. But that's kind of been on my mind, trying to decide what to do, and I was hoping that talking it out would maybe help me decide, but I still feel like I'm pretty in the middle on what to do. So what would you guys do if you forgot the double knitting on a sleeve but did it on the hem of the body? Would you go back and redo the hem of the sleeve? I'd like to know. Maybe that will help me make my decision if I hear your guys' experience, or if you have had times where you wish you would have done double knitting on a garment. I usually don't do double knitting on sweaters because I find it adds bulk to the hips, and I don't really want that extra bulk. And even on my sweater sleeves, I don't really like it. But for a jacket, I do want that stability, and I don't mind if it has that bulk because it's a jacket. It's going to be going over things. I don't need it to lay flat. So that's kind of my thought process on that. I am enjoying how light it is though with this roving yarn. Very light, perfect for a jacket. It has been fun to work with the thick and thin of it. Sometimes I feel like it gets as thin as a fingering weight, and then obviously sometimes it goes all the way to even like a bulky weight. So that's been fun to figure out. I think blocking will make it all smooth though. I don't know if you can tell the bumpiness of it, but I think it just adds to the rustic charm. I also am happy to be working in the round. I mentioned last time that I'm so tired of purling because this is my third cardigan slash jacket style and I've done so much purling in the past 3 months. I am over it. There were some short rows in the sleeves to make a little bit of a sleeve cap. It is a drop shoulder, but there are some short rows. So it was purling a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. But now I'm beautifully in the round, and then I will do the ribbing soon, the 4 inches of ribbing on, I'm using magic loop for the ribbing. And then after that, I do the double knit button band on the sides. I think I do it on both sides. And then I pick up stitches and do a collar. It is a round neck in the front, not a V-neck. So that's why I will be doing those. And then I did order some toggle buttons. I was trying to match the picture, and I was trying to find light colored wood toggle buttons, and I wasn't finding anything that I liked in the size that I needed. So I ended up ordering some from the Petite Knit website, which is my first time doing so. They were a little bit more expensive than I like to spend, but I really wanted this style of button. They are a little bit smaller than what Ozetta's pattern recommends. I think these ones are 30 millimeters and Ozetta recommends 32 millimeter buttons, but it's a minuscule difference. I'm sure it will be fine. So those should be coming hopefully soon. I'm just excited to see where I get to by the next podcast episode. I started this on November 5th, and so it has been on my needles for almost 4 weeks. And I'm honestly kind of excited to wrap it up to wear it because I know I'll be wearing it a lot, but also I'm excited to get to my sweaters. I have so many sweaters planned and so many on my queue that I want to get to as quick as possible, and so I just want to get started on those. I'm toying around with the idea of creating a winter plans knitting video. However, I have some yarn coming for my birthday and Christmas this month, so that will also factor in. So I'm trying to decide if I should make that video or if I should wait until I get the yarn, because I will be using those yarns when they get here. So playing around with that idea. Also, this is my first year of doing YouTube, so I don't know when people normally do their winter knitting plans. So I have been trying to sneakily watch and see what other people are doing. Anyways, that is my port jacket by Ozetta. My next work in progress is nearly finished, honestly. I am making some basic socks using Surella yarn nylon sock in Beach House, which is this slightly variegated yarn. And I have finished one sock already and blocked it. So this is the first sock. Last time we talked, I was working on the gusset decreases. So I was here and I finished this sock. I think the variegation is absolutely lovely. I did get a little bit of striping here of just light, dark, light, but that's okay. Adds to the charm of a hand knit variegated sock. And I tried extra hard to make my edges neat and trying not to get holes where you pick up stitches right here. And I think I did an okay job. This side is more neat, but this side isn't too bad. I did 10 rows of 1x1 half twisted rib. I did a 4-inch leg and then just heel flap and gusset, and then knit my foot as long as I needed to. I'm working on the second sock right now. I have done the leg, I have done the heel, and then I'm just working on the foot right now. I mentioned that I was going to stop these and start a new Christmas pair of socks, but when it came time to start those socks, I think I was in danger of not finishing these, and there's a couple of reasons for that. The first is that the sock is a little bit too big. Usually a 72 stitch cast on fits me, but also usually I'm knitting a lot tighter. And ever since the book club cardigan, when I was knitting tight and doing cables and having a lot of hand and arm pain, I have trying to consciously knit looser and just be relaxed when I hold my needles. And that has affected my sock gauge significantly. So I think that a size large or a 72 stitch cast on is going to be too big for me now, which is a little disappointing, but that's okay. They still fit. I will still wear them a lot. My first pair of socks that I ever made are very big, but I still find them wearable. I know I will still wear these. However, it's like the wind has gone from my sails a little bit. I'm not as motivated to work on them because I know that they're not going to fit perfectly. Again, with the perfectionism, it needs to stop. So I knew that if I put these down and started some Christmas socks, I think that it would have been a struggle to get back to these. And at the point of starting the Christmas socks, I was already on the gusset decreases, so I thought, I'm already halfway through the sock, just finish the rest and then you can start your Christmas socks. So that's what I've decided to do, and I am making good progress. And I think having the Christmas socks as kind of a motivation factor have helped me really pick these up and get going on them, so that has worked out well. I mentioned that I was going to do the Sockmas hosted by Nitty Natty here on YouTube. And to be honest, I think it was stressing me out a little bit. I think it was just one more thing added to December, and also very large group chats stress me out a little bit. And that one has a very large group chat, and I really wish I was one of those people that thrived in that environment, because I feel like I would meet a lot of people and have really great relationships and learn a lot from people in group chats like that. But when it gets over 20 people, I just kind of shut down. My introvert self is like, whoa, that is way too much, can't handle that. So I think I'm still toying around with the idea of still kind of doing the Sockmas, but just not participating as much as I would maybe want to. So that's still on my radar, is to do some Christmas socks, but I really want to finish these first. And they are so beautiful, and I really think I will wear them a lot. And especially because they are a little bit more neutral looking, they're not crazy socks, and all of these colors will match with a lot of the sweaters and dresses that I have. So I can really mix and match these socks with a lot of different outfits, which is why I think I will get a lot of wear out of them. I started these on November 15th, so I've been working on them for 2 weeks now, and I better be done by the next time I record a podcast episode. I'm sure I will be, but that is the goal. One more work in progress to show you. This one was a spur of the moment cast on, like I mentioned, and I did it right after I finished those Selbu mittens. I think I was riding the high from finishing gift knitting and finishing the more complicated pattern of those mittens, and I just wanted something fun and quick and easy. So I casted on the Fold Lopi Tote by Adrienne Bazilia, and it is a bulky weight knit up with 9mm needles. You knit it up and then you felt it or fold it. I was researching this, and apparently felting is when you are felting the fiber. But if you knit the fiber that's not felted yet, you knit the yarn and then you felt it, it's technically called fold. So fold is when you felt a fiber after you've knitted it. So cool fun fact. I'm just gonna say felted though, because fold makes me think of like a horse foaling. Sorry. Anyways, it is a free pattern. I want to use this pattern to make a project bag for myself. I don't have a lot of project bags. I have exactly 3, and I have 3 whips, so it'd be nice to have an extra one to switch one out once in a while, maybe hold another whip if I start one, things like that. I am also using 9mm needles like the pattern says, and I am using some stash yarn. I have 400 yards of this We Are Knitters the Petite Wool and Yarnicorn left over from my match cardigan. And the pattern only calls for 200 yards of bulky weight yarn, and I have 400. So I am kind of redoing the pattern a little bit to do a larger tote bag, and a lot of other people on Ravelry project pages have done the same. So I'm kind of following what they did and also kind of doing the math myself to figure out how that's going to work. So, and I don't feel bad about sharing the cast on numbers or anything because it is a free pattern. So you can go find it and make it yourself. Everything is always linked in my description box below. So this is what I have so far. It looks gigantic and lopsided, but that's because when you felt it, it will shrink a lot. I'm assuming. This is my first time felting something on purpose. So I am doing 108 stitch cast on. The pattern calls for an 80 stitch cast on. So it'll give me like a large bag. Technically, I could just double the whole pattern, but I don't want it to be a super, super big bag. I don't think I would find very much use for that. I usually only have one large project going at a time. So I did 108 stitch cast on, and then I did some math to figure out where to do the handles. And then I also did some math to figure out where to put the markers, because these markers mark where the sides of the bag are. And if you're interested, I put all of those numbers and counts in my project page, so you can go there if you want to copy exactly what I did. There's also lots of other projects on the Ravelry page that you can check as well. This is just a whenever I'm in the mood for it, or if I'm at a part in my port jacket that needs a little bit more attention than I can give while having my boys around, then I'll work on this one instead, because this one is just straight stockinette. You start from the top, you work a little bit, you cast off for the handles, cast back on, then you just work in the round for a long time until you get to the bottom, where you do a bunch of decreases for the bottom of the bag, and then you do a 3 needle bind off on the bottom, and then you throw it in the washing machine on high heat, high temperature water. So I'm very excited to do that part. As I said, I've never felted anything, so I think that will be fun to try, and I am excited to see where this goes. I thought it would be quicker than what I've been working on it. I have been working on it for a week now, and I kind of thought I would be done, but honestly, the port jacket has been taking most of my attention. I'm really excited to work on that and get that done. So yeah, this one is just kind of, as I work on it, I work on it. There's no rush to get it done though. Now I want to do a quick media update with you, because reading is also important to me. I will share 2 books that I finished since the last podcast episode. I finished my reread of The Takedown by Carly Walker. It's my favorite Christmas romance. Has a little bit of suspense aspects to it, with the main character being an undercover agent. And then I also finished this one, The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, which is a continuation of the Serpent and the Wings of Night series. And I didn't love it as much as I thought I would. I won't say anything more than that in case any of you are going to read it. And then watching wise, I saw Wicked and Gladiator 2 in the theaters. Both were fantastic. And then I have been watching Vlogmas, and it's my first year watching Vlogmas, and it is such a joy. I absolutely love it. It has been so fun. My favorite ones to watch so far are the Creabea, Laura Penrose, what else? Nitty Natty. Those are my top 3 that I will for sure watch or try to watch every single day. But I would love to know who are your favorite people to watch for Vlogmas, your favorite channels. I'd love to find some new ones as well. So let me know in the comment section below so that we all can get some good recommendations for Vlogmas if that's your thing. That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you are into Vlogmas. I really appreciate you watching this. In addition to all the other things that are out there, I know it's also a busy time of year, so I really appreciate you using your precious time to sit down with me and chat. Hopefully you got some making done as well. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Savan Knits if you want more updates on my projects in between videos. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified of my next podcast episode. And other than that, I hope you guys are finding joy in what you're making, and I can't wait to chat with you next time. And I hope you guys are having a great December. I will talk to you later. Bye.